and welcome to Awaz News. I'm Kubra Ali and I'll be taking you through big news across Canada.
Funeral details announced for former Mississauga Mayor Hazel McCallion. Mayor Tory wants reports on new taxes, including parking levy. COVID-19 tests will be mandatory for travelers from China for another 2 months. Police set up command post after woman forcefully dragged Wednesday night in Markham. Vacant home tax deadline pushed back until end of the month. Power restored in Scarborough following brief Thursday afternoon outage. Air Canada outage that affected operations at Toronto Pearson Airport resolved.
These were the headlines, and now let's jump right into the details.
York Regional Police are canvassing for evidence in a Markham neighborhood after an unknown suspect forcefully dragged a woman between two houses on Wednesday night. The incident happened sometime between 8 p.m. and 8:30 p.m. in an alleyway just off Woodhall Road, which is north of Steeles Avenue East and west of McCowan Road. According to investigators with the York Regional Police Special Victims Unit Sexual Assault Section, a woman was walking through an alleyway from McCowan Road to Woodhall Road when an unknown man grabbed her and forcefully dragged her between two houses. He's described as male and standing 5'10" with a medium build. He was last seen wearing dark clothing. York police say that investigators want to speak with one potential witness who was seen walking a dog near the alley and Woodhall Road at the time. They also want to talk to anyone who may have witnessed the incident or anyone who may have dash cam or video surveillance footage that could help with their investigation.
With appropriate revenue tools or revenue streams to manage the responsibilities that are placed on Canada's largest cities, including this one. I've carefully considered the Budget Committee's recommendations, which reflect the outcome of extensive public reviews and a wealth of evidence contained in the briefing notes prepared by the City staff. The Budget Committee provides an invaluable role in providing crucial feedback, and I believe that the budget being presented is in line with the Committee's recommendations, and I look forward to working with the councillors at the budget meeting to finalize this budget, and this is the same as we've done every year. We go and there are changes that take place at that meeting based on the input of councillors, and I've been indicating to them I'm very much looking forward to the discussion that we'll have with them on the occasion of the budget meeting. I believe that many aspects of the feedback we receive.
Mayor John Tory wants staff to take a closer look at a potential task on commercial parking spaces as part of wider assessment of new revenue tools that could help the city address its mounting fiscal challenges. In a motion that will be considered by City Council next week, Tory asks staff to complete an updated assessment of revenue generating options available to Toronto under existing provincial legislation. Tory said that the review should include an in-depth feasibility study of a commercial parking levy, including what impacts such a tax might have on businesses and the city's ongoing economic recovery from COVID-19. The request comes as the city stares down a nearly $1 billion shortfall in its 2023 budget, largely due to COVID-19 pandemic. A staff report prepared in 2016 previously estimated that if the city were to charge operators a levy of $1 per day per parking space, it could result in $300 million in annual revenue. Staff, however, said at the time that the tax disproportionately affects large malls and would only bring in about $44 million annually if applied exclusively to paid parking lots. In his statement, Tory said that what is really needed is a new fiscal deal for cities. But he said the discussion with other levels of government should inform by up-to-date information on the revenue tools that we have available already. The public transit advocacy group TTC Riders has been calling on the city to implement a parking space levy for weeks now, saying that it could have already brought in $2.8 billion in revenue if it was implemented in 2016 when staff first studied it. Tory, however, was previously been non-committal about implementing such a levy. Last week, he got into an argument with a resident at a skating party in Scarborough after being pressed for an explanation. The Tobacco City of Toronto Act currently makes a number of revenue tools available to the city which are not currently in place, including taxes on alcohol and tobacco. The legislation also allows for a vehicle registration tax similar to the one Toronto scrapped in 2011. Staff said in a 2021 report that reviving such a tax could bring in an additional $18 to $94 million a year, if set at $20 to $100 per vehicle. Toronto is allowed to implement road tolls with provincial consent. However, in 2017, then Liberal government vetoed a decision by Toronto Council to toll the Don Valley Parkway and Gardiner Expressway. At the time, Tory expressed frustration with that decision, calling it paternalistic and short-sighted. A state funeral will be held for Hazel McCallion on what would have been her 102nd birthday. The funeral will take place at Paramount Fine Food Centre in Mississauga on Valentine's Day. The former Mississauga, Ontario mayor, nicknamed Hurricane Hazel, died on Sunday at 101 years old. Her funeral service will be held on February 14 at 11 a.m. The public is invited to attend, but seating will be limited. Attendees are advised to arrive an hour early. Premier Doug Ford, Lieutenant Governor Elizabeth Dotsell, and Mississauga Mayor Bonnie Crombie will be in attendance. Ticket information will soon be available at Paramount Fine Foods Centre. There will also be a live stream of the funeral for those who are unable to attend in person. Ahead of the service, McCallion will lie in repose at Mississauga City Hall. The public can visit the former mayor on Sunday and Monday from 11 a.m. to 7 p.m. Flags will be flown at half-mast across the province on February 14. The deadline for Toronto homeowners to declare whether or not their property is occupied has been extended until the end of the month, Mayor John Tory has announced. Homeowners were supposed to make their declarations by today and could have faced fines of $250 for doing so after the deadline. But during an unrelated press conference on Thursday, Mayor John Tory confirmed that the city has extended the deadline until the end of February. Tory said that about 84.5% of all households have already made their declarations. However, that would mean that tens of thousands of homeowners still need to complete the paperwork. If they don't do so by the end of February, the city will assume that their properties are vacant and a tax of 1% of their home's assessed value would then be applied to the property tax bills mailed out in the spring. Speaking with reporters on Thursday, Tory stressed that the goal of new vacant home tax isn't to generate revenue. Instead, he said the hope is that it is successful at convincing the owners of vacant properties to either rent or sell them. Staff have previously estimated that the tax will bring in between $55 and $66 million annually, with that money then being directed towards affordable housing initiatives. Letters went out to all Toronto homeowners months ago advising them to submit a declaration either by paper or online. A declaration is not required if the property does not contain a residential unit. A property is considered vacant if it was not used as a principal residence by the owner or any other permitted occupants or tenants for a total of 6 months and more during the previous calendar year. A property can also be considered vacant if the owner fails to make a declaration of occupancy status. An Air Canada outage that impacted operations at Toronto Pearson International Airport has been resolved, the airline said Thursday. In a tweet posted early Thursday afternoon, Air Canada said it was experiencing an IT issue affecting airport check-in at Toronto Pearson. Customers should check in on through mobile or on the app before going to the airport, the airline advised. Toronto Pearson said the outage impacted functions such as check-in, baggage delivery, and gating. At approximately 3:30 p.m., Air Canada announced that the issue had been resolved. Canada has renewed mandatory COVID-19 testing and screening for travelers from China, Hong Kong, and Macau for another 2 months. The government mandated pre-boarding tests for people coming from those places last month after China removed long-standing public health restrictions, causing a countrywide outbreak of the virus. A statement from Public Health Agency of Canada says the testing requirements are expected to remain in place until April 5th. The government says it's concerned about the reports of dramatic increase in COVID-19 cases in China and the lack of data available from China about potential variants that could be spreading through the country. The agency says it's also concerned about what China's reopening could do to Canada's healthcare system. Transport Minister Omar Al-Gabra said earlier this week that the measures were necessary and any changes would be based on advice from the government's public health experts. This report by Canadian Press was first published February 2nd, 2023. The lights are back on after an outage briefly knocked out power for thousands of customers in Scarborough Thursday afternoon. Toronto Hydro initially reported the outage at 2:36 p.m. In a tweet posted exactly 1 hour later, Hydro One, the Ontario utility that handles the transmission and distribution of electricity, announced that service has been restored for all affected customers. Shortly after the power went out, Toronto Hydro posted an outage map that showed a number of areas in Scarborough where up to 5,000 customers are impacted. The affected area was roughly bounded by Shepherd Avenue to St. Clair Avenue and from Birchmount to Bellamy Roads. In a tweet, Toronto Police reminded drivers to treat intersections as four-way stops. Toronto is urging anyone who is still without power to contact them.
Thank you for tuning in. I'm Kubra Ali. I'll see you back tomorrow, same time, same channel. Have a good night.